Let me tell you something haunting about the modern party. You are standing in a room full of laughter, the music is pulsing against the walls, and voices are clashing in a symphony of small talk. You have a drink in your hand, you are nodding at the right times, and you might even be smiling. But inside, you feel 1,000 miles away. You look at the faces around you, and instead of connection, you feel a strange, growing weight, a hollow echo. Have you ever felt that? That specific, sharp ache of being completely alone while standing right in the middle of a crowd? Most people think loneliness is about being by yourself, but the truth is, the most profound loneliness isn't found in an empty room. It is found in a crowded one, where you are forced to perform a version of yourself that doesn't actually exist. We live in a world that worships the extrovert, from the way our offices are designed to the way we celebrate the life of the party. We are told that being outgoing is the gold standard of human success. If you are quiet, people ask if you're okay. If you leave early, they think you are bored. If you prefer a book over a bar, they label you as shy or socially anxious. But what if I told you that this socializing fatigue isn't a flaw in your personality? What if that urge to retreat, to pull back into the shadows, is actually your brain protecting something sacred? Beneath the exhaustion of small talk lies a powerful psychological mechanism. For the introvert, every social interaction is an energy exchange. While extroverts gain fuel from the noise, you are spending it. You are processing every micro-expression, every tone shift, and every unsaid word. You aren't just there, you're absorbing the entire room. And that is why the crowd feels so lonely, because you are witnessing everyone's performance, including your own, and you are craving something that a crowded room can almost never provide: depth. We are taught to fear solitude. We treat being alone like a waiting room for being with people. But for those who understand the architecture of silence, solitude is not a lack of company. It is the presence of self. It is the only place where the noise of the world stops dictating who you should be. In the next few minutes, we are going to dive deep into the secret psychology of the quiet power. We will explore why your exhaustion is actually a sign of high emotional intelligence, and why the greatest ideas in human history weren't born in brainstorming sessions, but in the fertile, lonely soil of a quiet mind. Why do we feel the need to apologize for needing space? Why does the world make us feel guilty for choosing ourselves over a crowd? Stick with me, because by the end of this, you might realize that your weakness is actually the very thing that makes you extraordinary. If you have ever felt like an outsider looking in, this is for you. Stay tuned as we break down the science of why your brain thrives in the shadows. Is your silence actually a shield? Let's find out together. This is for the observers, the thinkers, the ones who see everything but say nothing. Welcome to the deep end of the room, where the air is still and the thoughts are loud. This is your story, your rebellion, your quiet truth. Because in a world that won't stop talking, your silence is the loudest thing in the room.
The reason you feel drained after a few hours of socializing isn't because you lack social skills. It's because your brain is wired for quality over quantity. In psychology, there's a concept called overstimulation. For many, a crowd is a sensory assault. The overlapping conversations, the bright lights, the constant need to be on, it creates a cognitive overload. When you reach that point where you just want to vanish, that is your social battery hitting zero. But here is the fascinating part. What happens when you finally get home? When you close the door, kick off your shoes, and the silence finally rushes back in? That sigh of relief isn't just physical, it is a neurological homecoming. In that stillness, your creativity begins to breathe again. There's a reason why J.K. Rowling dreamed up Harry Potter while sitting alone on a delayed train, or why Nikola Tesla claimed that solitude is the secret of invention. When you're in a crowd, your brain is in reactive mode. You're reacting to others, mirroring their energy and fitting into their boxes. But in solitude, you move into active mode. You start to hear your own thoughts again. You start to see patterns that the noise obscured. This is the introvert's superpower. While the world is busy shouting, you are busy observing. While they're chasing the next like or the next laugh, you are building worlds inside your head. Research shows that people who embrace solitude often have higher levels of empathy and a more complex inner life. You aren't lonely when you're alone. You're simply in good company with yourself. The loneliness in a crowd phenomenon happens because social media and modern culture have turned connection into a transaction. We meet people to network, to see and be seen, or to escape our own thoughts. But real connection requires a level of presence that a crowd simply destroys. You can't have a soul-to-soul conversation when you're shouting over a DJ. You can't feel seen when everyone is looking at their phones or the person behind you. So you retreat. You become the observer. And as an observer, you see the truth, that most of the noise is just a mask for people's own fear of being alone. They stay in the crowd because they're terrified of what they might hear if it went quiet. But you aren't afraid of the quiet. You crave it. You know that the best version of you doesn't live in a highlight reel or a crowded bar. It lives in the moments where nobody is watching. It lives in the deep work, the late-night reflections, and the long walks where the only voice you hear is your own. This isn't about hating people. It's about loving the truth more than the performance. It's about realizing that fitting in is the lowest form of belonging. True belonging starts with yourself. It is the steady anchor in a sea of superficial faces. It is the calm center of a storm that never ends. When you stop trying to be the loudest person in the room, you become the most powerful one, because you are the only one who truly knows who they are. You are the one who doesn't need a mirror to see their own value. You are the silent architect of your own destiny, building a life that doesn't need an audience to be valid.
So what if we stopped apologizing for being the quiet one? What if we stopped looking at our need for solitude as a recovery period and started seeing it as our peak performance? The world needs the loud voices, yes. It needs the leaders, the speakers, and the hype men, but the world is kept in balance by the thinkers, the dreamers, and the ones who can stand in a crowd and still keep their souls intact. Your ability to walk away from the noise is a form of freedom that most people will never know. It means you aren't a slave to validation. It means you don't need a room full of strangers to tell you that you matter. You have already found that answer in the silence. As we wrap up this exploration, I want you to think about your own quiet spaces. When was the last time you let yourself just be, without the pressure to perform or the urge to check your notifications? If this message resonated with you, if you have felt that strange loneliness in a crowd or found your greatest strength in being alone, let me know in the comments below. I want to hear about your quiet superpower. How has solitude helped you grow? Do you find that your best ideas come when the world is sleeping? Your stories remind us all that being different isn't a defect, it's an evolution. If you found peace in these words, please hit that like button. It helps this message reach the people who are currently sitting in a crowd feeling invisible. Let them know they aren't alone in their loneliness. Subscribe to join our community of deep thinkers and quiet rebels. We are building a space where depth is valued over noise and where the invisible are finally seen. Share this video with that one friend who always leaves the party early. They might need to hear that it's okay to prioritize their peace. Remember, the most profound thing you can do in a world that never stops talking is to listen to your own heart. Don't let the noise drown out the magic of your own silence. You are not antisocial, you are pro-soul. You are not lonely, you are intentional. Stay quiet, stay deep, and keep building those worlds within. Have you ever noticed how the most important conversations happen in whispers? That's because the truth doesn't need to shout, it just needs to be heard. So next time the crowd feels too heavy, just remember, you have a whole world inside you waiting to be explored. Don't trade your inner universe for a moment of outer applause. It's never worth it. Thank you for being here in the stillness with me. Your attention is the greatest gift you can give, and I'm honored you shared it with me today. Your presence here, even in silence, matters more than you know. It is the quiet support that keeps this channel breathing. So before you click away, ask yourself, what is my silence trying to tell me today? Answer that in your heart, or answer it in the comments. Let's start a conversation that actually means something. Until next time, guard your peace, trust your silence, and never be afraid to walk away from the noise. It has more to tell you than any crowd ever could. Peace be with you, and keep dreaming in the dark. Good night.